Hi, I'm Wendian. I'm going to talk about being LGBTQ in China.
Last weekend I traveled to Copenhagen, Denmark, where I stayed with a couchsurfer. Couchsurfing is an app that I've used many times that lets you find a local host that lets you stay with them for free. I was so happy to find Wendian on couchsurfing and even happier that she let me stay with her. And during my visit, we sat down on her rooftop terrace to make a video about being LGBTQ in China.
I'm Wendian and I'm from China. I was born and raised there. I've lived there for like 22 years and now I moved to Denmark for my study and I'm bisexual.
She has known for a long time that she is bisexual.
When I was growing up, actually at that time, gay novel is very popular. I remember when I was in middle school, they're just like a trend to read these gay novels, but they're not in books, they're online. Most gay novels are written by girls and read by girls. I don't know why. We also have lesbian novels, but they are not as developed as gay novels. Yeah, you can say different kinds of gay novels. They are very diverse.
And those novels have been an important tool for Wendian while figuring out her own sexuality.
I was growing up reading that kind of novels, so it's like whether I'm gay or not is not a question for me. I'm just open to all the possibilities. There was a time I went to some gay communities in my hometown, and there I just met some girls and I dated some, and yeah, I feel it's quite a good experience, and before I'm open to that and now I'm more open to that.
Now, Wendian lives in Denmark and she gets a lot of questions about what it's like being LGBTQ in China. And in this video, she wants to answer a few of them.
But first, I have to say I cannot represent the whole population in China because we have a very large population, and also I was born in a big city and my family, they're very well educated and they're open-minded. So I would say in my case, it's better than average Chinese people.
Let's keep that in mind as we move to the first question.
I was asked for many times, is there gay or lesbian in China? And actually for me, I feel it's quite a ridiculous question. I have to answer, of course we have, we are human beings, right? Yeah, actually in my community there are quite a lot gay or lesbian or bisexual or queer people. I would say, yeah, of course.
People have also asked her if you will be caught by the police if you mention that you are LGBTQ+.
I would say, no, I think mostly no, it won't be a case. You can say that just in some public place, I'm gay. You just stand there and say, I'm gay. No one will come to you and then send you to the jail. Yeah, you can say that publicly or on the internet. You can just say that no one gonna cause some trouble to you.
But there are other things that might get you sent to jail.
I think it's when you want to do something big. If you want to start a movement in China for the gay community, or if you say something bad about the government and it's aligned with the gay community, and also you have to say it's really loud on the internet and many people notice that, and then you may be sent into the jail. But apart from that, I think there's no problem.
People also ask her if people can come out as queer to their friends and families in China.
I would say it really depends. For my community, among my friends, I would say it's totally okay. I won't make friends with people who are not open to that. And also, I think in our young generation, most of us are very open to that. And to my parents, I would say they're open to it, but they also hope that I won't like girls. They told me like, I'm okay if my friends' kids, they're gay, I'm totally open to that. I won't judge them, but I just hope you don't like girls. It's not because I think they're bad, that's a bad behavior, just because I feel your life would be more difficult. So yeah, I also understand that.
Let's move on to the next question that she's often asked.
Do we have any community for LGBTQ in China? I would say yes, but not in all the cities. They have a very large community, or very open community for them, and also there's some limitation on their activities. I was born in a very big city, and there we have a very big community for that, and they host some kind of events. I also have some events for them, like there's one called Desk Coffee. Desk Coffee, it's an existing event, but I just collaborate them with the LGBT community. Desk Coffee is a place for people to discuss about death freely. We just drink coffee, eat cookies while talking about death, because death is a very sensitive topic in China. People think it's unlucky, and we prefer just not to talk about it. So I just collaborate these two community. So they just held a desk coffee for LGBT community for them to discuss about that. Because in China, we gay or lesbian people cannot get married. So for them, it's a problem that if I have no kids or have no partner, how can I deal with my life when I get older, if I get some illness or have these kind of issues.
She also organized some other events for the queer community in her city.
I have a friend who is a sex coach, and I also invited her to do a lecture for lesbian or girls on how to get orgasm. And I think that's a very good event. Yeah, people discuss about their sex life freely, and also some lesbian tomboys, they just told people how they do to make their partner come. Yeah.
And here are some examples of other events they've hosted.
They have an event called Dark Classroom. It's a free space for people to talk about sensitive topics, and people won't know who you are. That's because you will need to wear an eye mask before you enter in that space, so we all cannot see each other, and then we can discuss about it freely. We have some topics about like BDSM and body shaming, this kind of thing. And after that, you can choose to stay and then take off your eye mask. If you choose to leave, and then you will be led by the staffs and get out of there. Also, there is an event called Sensitive Words. In your daily life, you have so many sensitive words, you prefer not to say that, or just use some words to replace that. In China, like vagina, we won't say that. Maybe we'll use some words like your little sister to replace that. And like for dick, penis, they may also use some other words to replace that. But this kind of words are also about political words or something about that, because it's very sensitive, and we prefer not to say it directly. And in these events, we will just say it over and over again, like say it 100 times. So at first they will feel, I feel ashamed to say that loud. But like after sometimes they get used to it and begin to think about the meaning behind that, and to think why we feel sensitive about it. And yeah, I think these are very good events.
I asked her to elaborate a bit on her queer community in her city.
I think it's quite a big community. For most events, there are like 20 or 30 people coming, but it also depends, right? And they have some staff in that center and also some volunteers. But most people are from the young generation, and there are some university students nearby, so they go there very often, or some people who major in social science and are very curious about these social issues, they will go there. And I make so many good friends there, because I think it's not just because they are LGBTQ, but also we are like-minded people. I remember there was a time a friend told me, he's studying a very reputational university. He told me, don't say you are just a normal person. When you say that, actually, you try to avoid some responsibilities. But actually, in China, you are very lucky to get the education and to get all the resources. Not everyone, they're so lucky as you to have this. So when you get this, you should do something for the society to make some changes. Because in China, if you really want to make a difference to the on LGBTQ, I believe it's very difficult, and they still want to do something on that, and I really admire them. They really spend their time, their money, and everything on keep it moving, and I think that's really great. So.
But the government is currently working on limiting the work these organizations are able to do.
Before, there are many universities, they have some LGBT community inside, and they have some public blogs or accounts to post some events or some articles, but it's just over one night. I think it's 1 or 2 years ago, the government shut down all the public accounts, and they are not allowed to have any more events. But before, actually, in many cities, there are many gay or lesbian centers, and actually they're sponsored by the government. Governments know they're doing that, but they are not sponsored them on the LGBTQ issues, but on the AIDS health education. So they get the money, and then they will give away some condoms and some flyers on the AIDS health education. But I think that's the biggest finance support for them to keep running. But now it's like not as before.
Wendian doesn't have a lot of hope when imagining a future for herself as an openly queer person in China.
I would say it would be difficult, but it also depends on the environment. If I work in China, in my working environment, maybe I shouldn't say that to my colleagues about that. But it also depends. I've heard some people, they work in some IT company, they are younger and more open-minded, so they can just go public. But before, I also worked in a state-owned company in China, and people there are very traditional, so I will never say that to them. And also in that company, I think 99% of people get married. So if I weren't there, I need to get married as well. I think there's a social pressure to do that. Yeah, that would be an issue. But among my friends and parents, I would say they will be okay with that.
Finally, I asked her, how do you find a queer community in China?
I think you can search online about your local LGBTQ community and find them, join some of their events, and go to some gay or lesbian clubs. Yeah, we do have gay and lesbian clubs in China. Like in my city, I would say there are like 2 lesbian clubs, maybe 3 gay clubs, and 1 or 2 LGBTQ clubs. But they're hidden, of course. You won't just search lesbian club on the website and find them. It's word by word.
If you enjoyed watching that video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. I really appreciate you showing your love in that way. If you also want to support the channel financially, that's possible via Patreon, but really no pressure. See you next time.